Thanks for tuning in Too Strong. We really appreciate it. And I'm really excited because we finally got a female that we believe got more sense than the average. So this is going to be a really good show and a really different type of show, but it's going to be very informative. At least that's what we aiming for. So don't go nowhere. Check it out.
Welcome to Too Strong, people. It's been a while, been a minute. I want you guys to give a warm welcome to Miss Faye Bishop. She's going to be our guest today, and what she has to say, I'm guaranteeing you money. Going to do one of two things: piss you off or make you happy. There's no middle ground, none at all. But I'm going to give her a chance to introduce herself right now and get to know her a little bit. Faye.
Hi, everybody. I am Faye Bishop of the Faye Bishop Report. I am also author of the ebook, Make Money Make Sense, which teaches you how to start your own internet website based on your niche in 7 steps or less. And you can get that over on Amazon.
She failed to tell you the other part about herself. I think she's here to make some people mad. It's going to happen. So, because and here's the thing, and I say that I'm saying jokingly, but I'm serious. It's going to be a lot of people that's not gonna like her view, because I feel like, now this is my opinion, y'all. I don't speak for the panel. I'm speaking for me. I feel like most women are indoctrinated, and they have lined up and laid down for the ways of the new world in society. So let me get right to my first question. Let's dig in right away. Faye, I want to ask you a question. What? And I'm talking about black women. I didn't say white. I didn't say Latin. I want to know black, right?
Okay.
What do black women want from men?
All right. Well, I feel like the modern black woman wants money, status, and social status, of course. And she wants an accessory, someone who makes her look good, kind of like the Shih Tzu in the Birkin bag. The elder woman, they desired men who were honorable, fair, and ethical in terms of relationships and marriages. For them, it was all about having integrity, something that can help strengthen a bond between a man with a woman. As were his moral principles being in check, which usually guides a man's behavior and helps him to be the best provider, protector, and professor to his family. But I feel like the modern woman doesn't want the man that our grandmothers and our great grandmothers had, because according to the modern woman, those women were miserable in those marriages. Those women were not happy in those marriages, So that's why I said the two, I made the distinction between the two. I feel like the modern woman wants an accessory. She wants the provider, and she wants the social status. That's what she's looking for in a man today.
Okay, but Faye, I think you left
Yes.
something out. That, this is a real show. We can talk here.
Okay.
Like, we gonna talk.
Okay.
You left out they don't want hugs and stuff. I mean, I'm trying to stay on the.
I mean, nowadays the modern woman is happy to get a hug from her girlfriend who accompanies her on her jet ski and her trip. You notice a lot of women are taking trips without their families these days. They're going with girlfriends. They're going with their girlfriends to the hookah bars. They're posing with their girlfriends more in the photographs and the selfies. That's who they want the hugs and the love from. The family now is the accessory. It's like the makeup and the lashes. It's pretty much equivalent to the wigs and the makeup and the lashes that a lot of women are putting on their faces. That's what family, unfortunate, and it's very unfortunate, now represents to a lot of, I have to say, modern woman, because of the way the times have changed and not for the better.
I have a follow-up question, though, for you. Okay. Before the show began, before we were talking a little bit before to get to know each other here, there was a certain term that Corey used, and I want to get your reaction to the term in real time. So here's the question: does the term "a woman's place" offend you? And if it does offend you, please tell me why.
A woman's place does not offend me, and I'm going to tell you why it doesn't. I believe it is because, uh, as a man and as a woman, as a human, as an individual, we all have roles. Even in the animal kingdom, animals aren't socialized the way humans are. But if you look at some of the nature shows, hell, you can watch a nature YouTube video really quickly, and you pay attention to how these animals interact with each other. You see them in their role, not one that they've been told to be in, not their place, so to speak, because I think everything is language, and I that's the part that triggers a lot of people. But it's just them being in their natural role, and I believe women have their natural roles just as men have their natural roles. That's just the way God biologically designed us to be. And we always, even though we've been socialized a certain way, and I know that modern times and television and Instagram and social media tends to, try to, the culture, so to speak, give us this idea to shape our minds and socially engineer us a certain way. This has happened before, and no matter what happens, we always revert back to that natural instinct, that natural role that we were born to be in.
The problem is, I don't. Okay, I think this is what you have to start understanding, at least from your about your perspective. And you talked about how people have been engineered into thinking something. You've been engineered and you don't realize you've been engineered to think something. You've been engineered to think that your viewpoint should not be said out loud. You mentioned the word place as being, you have to make sure that there are certain things that have, when you use words, is what really upset people. I don't consider the word place to be a bad thing either. Um, I look at a lioness and I look at the king, and the king doesn't go hunting like the lioness does, but he'll intervene once in a while. But the lioness does not ever usurp the role of the king in the pride, ever. That's how she gets ate up. But for some reason, in humans, we feel the need to go and mess with the king and eat his food. And when the king get up and go, pow, 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 you get mad because you're like, well, you messing with my role. Like, this ain't your role. Your role is this, 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 and this. I don't think it's a bad thing. And I think the more we get normalized to using correct terminology, which is what it is, you have a place and the man has a place. The word place isn't bad. It's your location to get the maximum result in this relationship. Place is good. And I think the more we can get familiar with that word usage, we can negate the clowns that don't like that word and just get them to the side.
You know where a lot of that wordplay came from the hip hop culture. If you think about it, it started way back where you're talking about, man, that's bad. You see a nice look at you, be like, man, she bad. How is she bad? And if she is bad, then how is that a good thing? You see what I'm saying? So we've been trained for a long time to change these words up and make bad look good and good look bad. You know what I'm saying? So it's just on a much bigger scale now. You know what I'm saying? It's like, here it is. Now we can't even tell the truth. When you tell the truth, it's offensive.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're a bigot. You are shaming. You are. I mean, this is ridiculous. What's happening now, and it's all because no one wants to take accountability for anything. No one wants to admit that they're 300 pounds and that they're overweight. They call it fat shaming. No one think you could, sleeping around with a bunch of guys having high body counts is no longer considered whoredom anymore. That is slut shaming. It's ridiculous. I'll give you guys an interesting story. I had a conversation online. Um, this was a week ago when Ebony Williams, her name is, made that comment about bus driver. She won't date the bus driver, right? So I watched the follow up of her rhetoric or drivel that she said. And I watched the Breakfast Club interview, and there was a conversation on Twitter about it, right? And so I said, I noticed that no one is asking Ebony, since she dated them all, that was her words, I dated them all, why couldn't she keep any of them? She couldn't keep the bus driver or the CFO that she was engaged to, which is the photo of the white guy that everyone found, right? And so guess what? Women attacked me all because I asked, why couldn't she keep a man? They said to me that is shaming a woman, making it appear as if her reason for not being able to keep a solid relationship is all her fault and not the man's fault. And I said, what is so wrong with that? What is so wrong with thinking that maybe, just maybe, you might be the problem? It's okay. It's okay. It's called accountability. That's all I was doing. I was calling for accountability, because whether you want to believe it or not, whether any of us want to believe it or not, we are all responsible. We hold some part of the, even if it's 50%, we bear part of the responsibility for the success and failures of our relationships. We do. Okay. But I was attacked. I couldn't believe it. I never heard nothing like that in my life. They were like, you're shaming her. I don't like it. It's so shaming when you tell a woman can't keep a man, can't get a man. And I'm like, can't keep a man. And I'm like, why? What's wrong with that? It's possible she may be the problem. I would like to know if I'm the problem. When you're at work and your supervisor scolds you, isn't it because you're being a problem? Do you take it? Do you take problem with that? Don't you get a review every year at your job to find out if you're the problem? Don't you want that feedback? So, I know I'm probably rambling, but I had to share that story because this shaming thing has gotten so out of control. And I really was attacked, and I was attacked by women. All because I said nobody asked her, since she dated them all and she obviously feels as though the bus driver is beneath her, then why couldn't she keep that CFO? She couldn't keep him either. So, and I was attacked. I kid you not. I can even send the screenshots. I was attacked. I could not believe it. And it was all women.
What you said had got me thinking a little something here. We don't want to address people as being the problem. It has to be something else that caused me, or something else that has an influence. But something called deductive logic has to at least prevail. If you've been in 15 different relationships and none of them panned out, you're batting 0 out of 15. It might be time to look at your method of operation to see if what you're doing has caused 15 different people to say, nah, not that one. Every 15 people can't be the exact same, and you just seeing them all the same way, and they're the problem 15 times. Odds don't work like that. Something tells me that at least 10 of them are you. It's you were the problem.
Once upon a time, we welcomed feedback from people. We didn't really look at constructive criticism as a bad thing. And now, anytime people say anything or give us any type of feedback, we call it shaming. Shaming.
So the original, I know we might have drifted a little bit, and I want to drift a little bit more, by the way. But we were talking about women, in particular Black women, and that's a good thing. So we got a lot out. We got a lot from you, actually, more than what we bargained for, but that's a good thing. But I want to know: do you feel like so you do feel like that the women will not accept responsibility of that they may be the problem, and they just continue to go on and on and on? And I see that same pattern in Black men. Um, Conflate the two for me if you can.
So you said the same problem in Black men, they don't see that they're the problem?
Yeah, absolutely. So I conclude that, and I guess I can just ask you for what your thoughts is. I just say what I think about it. You just literally proved the theory that overall Black men act like a woman, act like women.
A lot of them.
Yeah, and that right there, I believe, lies the main problem. Because if we can get men, first of all, if we can get them in the homes, and I don't mean that, and I'm not even saying that the man don't want to go to the home. I'm contributing that to the women putting them out of the homes and running them away from the homes also, as well as the man voluntarily leaving and and basically being a piece of shit. I get that too. But if we can get the men back in the homes and then get the men to be men, do you feel that would cut down on over half of the crime, half of the poverty? What are your thoughts on that?
I absolutely believe that that's what would happen if the men came back into the home. Well, first things first, there is a serious spiritual and moral deficit going on right now, with men and women, with the populace at large, but with Black men and Black women in general. primarily because we've strayed so far away from nature. And we have been indoctrinated and socially engineered by corporations and government who have led us to believe we don't need each other. And we do need each other. We do. And I mean, it's so interesting to watch a lot of these relationship podcast shows, and you're listening to the manosphere, and I follow all of them, and many reach out to me for my insight because I'm so low key. But I watch a lot of this, and the one thing that it all comes back to is that we all want the same things. We just have a problem getting along. We just have a problem identifying with one another, first of all, as human beings, let alone as our polar, our opposites, and just you're man, I'm woman. Let's just do this together. Everything is people want it their way. They don't see family as necessary anymore. It's sort of a lot of individualism that's being promoted. I kind of attributed that earlier when I said that, women, when you asked me the question about what do women want in a man, and I said an accessory, I feel that's the same thing with a lot of men too, particularly a lot of the beta men. They want someone who's going to help them achieve like status. Everything is status. What's going to make them look good on their Instagram page? What's going to make them look good on LinkedIn? What is going to, who's worthy of me spending my money? That kind of thing going on. And it's really, really unfortunate. But, we if we can get back to what I like to call nature, which is the foundation and the way God ordained us to be, I think we would be okay. And yes, crime would go down. And yes, children would grow up in healthier homes and go on to build and get married. I believe we would basically lay out what I call the true general wealth, because I know these generational wealth conversations tend to center around money, but the true foundation of generational wealth really centers on family. And if you want a good community, I always tell people there is no Black community without families. You have to have families. And there is no families without a man and a woman coming together to build one.
I do want to know this too, and I don't want to jump ahead or switch again too much, but what do you feel about interracial relationships?
What do I feel about okay, see, for me, I don't really feel one way or another, only because the majority of Black men are marrying Black women. I don't really focus on that 2% or that 3%. That doesn't bother me. I believe Black men and Black women are indeed in relationships with each other. We're certainly making a lot of babies with each other. Uh, we're not getting married, but there's certainly a lot of babies being made. So for the most part, Black men and Black women are loving on each other in some way or some form or another. So I don't really focus on that small percentage of interracial relationships. I don't feel one way or another about it, but I do, if there is a preference, I do believe that the Black man does belong with the Black woman. Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, I don't see nothing wrong with people feeling that way. I think everybody should have a right to feel that way as much as they want. So each individual is for, each individual have a different taste and aim, and I don't think it don't bother me that bad. But what does bother me is that Black men are limited as well as Black women. We're limited, and a lot of times we have to, or at least we feel like we need to reach outside of that, and we need to fix that if we want things to change. Because like myself, what I'm saying, I didn't marry a Black woman, and I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. It was very intentional. You know
Oh,
what I'm
okay.
saying? Yeah, it was very intentional because I didn't want to deal with the stigma of the Black woman.
The stigma of the Black woman. Yeah. Can you dive into that?
Okay, you want me to break that down? Okay, so I feel like from what I've saw and what I've witnessed, it's like the hollering, the screaming, the calling the police, the fighting, the don't want to cook, the snapping the neck. You know what I'm saying? Going out in the club, shaking your butt all day, and see, And to be quite frank with you, I know where you would go with that, and I don't blame you. It's like it would say that, well, maybe you didn't have your, you had the wrong environment, and you're right, I did. I did. That's part of the problem. So it's what I saw, and is what I was seeing and witnessing at that time. You know what I'm saying? And I just didn't. I grew up in a family where all our most, I ain't gonna say all. Let me correct myself, because there are some virtuous, very virtuous women in our family, but there are some very, for the most part, very ratchet. You know what I'm saying? So that's, and even in the community I came up in, so that's what I'm used to seeing, and that was a turn off to me, and I just didn't want no parts of that, because I knew that I wanted to have peace, and I wanted a submissive woman and a virtuous woman, and so that's what I got, and I got it outside of my race, and I don't see anything wrong with that.
Now I have a question. Did you grow up in a home where both parents were married?
No,
Okay.
no, yeah. So it obviously has a lot to do with my environment versus what I've seen and versus what I want. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of times that does play a significant role. See, for me, I grew up in a home. My parents are still married, going on 40 years. So my grandparents were married. My aunts and uncles were married. Everybody gets married. I have 8 brothers and sisters, and all but one, my youngest brother, is 25 years old. He is the only one who is not married. He is the only one. Everybody else, 80% of my family members have gotten married. So I do, when you give that history about your background, that does play a role. And you know what? I don't fault you for that, because that was the case for my father's side of the family. I did mention early in the conversation, backstage, that my father's side, they're Black Cubans, so some of them married out of their race. I have interracial family, biracial family members. So that's why when you ask me that question, it's like I can't sit here and say no, so I just tend to not focus on that because it's such a small percentage. I don't think it's anything to get upset and angry about and so irrational about, which is what a lot of Black people tend to focus on.
But see, here's the thing, though. You mentioned that you grew up in a home with a family, a mom and a dad, and it sounds like your dad is a alpha. You know what I'm saying? And everybody lines up right now. I can tell you right, and I'm just telling you straight up, honest to God. I could have met you anywhere and had a conversation with you for about 5 to 10 minutes, and I would have knew that.
Wow, is it that easy for you guys
Yeah,
now?
absolutely. It's that easy. It's real easy, because the things that you have here and in your heart, that's coming right out, that came from, it's godly, and you can tell that was lined up with God. Man, woman, children. It's obvious. Everything was in line right there, and this is the result. This is what we got. So unfortunately, we don't have a lot of that. So I made it a point to make sure that my daughters are able to articulate like you and think like you. So I plan. So whatever, I like to meet pops one day. Whatever it is he put in you, this is what we need to start doing with our children. But we fail to do that because we are, us men, the Black men, we are allowing, and I said allow because we are the ones that's supposed to be the head and in charge. Make it clear. We are allowing our women to teach our babies that men ain't nothing, and that they don't need them. Like you said, they really feel that way, and so they grew up thinking that and going living life like that. And even though they see it's not working out, they continue to do it. And the reason why they do it is because, I'm gonna say it again, I've said it before, when most women, the ones that are doing these things, I ain't gonna say most, I'm gonna say all of the women that are keeping their kids from the daddy and all this ratchet stuff, whatever they got going and involving their kids, they doing it because they hate their kids. And when you understand the difference between love and hate, it'll make more sense. They hate their children. And we have to get love back into our homes, because if we don't, hate is going to get bigger and bigger, and then we're going to be in a bad place.
We're going to be in an extinct place. A lot of people don't think that Black people especially don't feel as though we are on the verge of extinction. We are. If we keep going at this moral and spiritual deficit with this if we keep going along with this deficit of moral and spiritual decay, we will be extinct in the next 50 years. Oh, guaranteed. I feel as though.
Oh, Joe Biden said that.
Yeah, we are. And we do not take it seriously enough. We don't.
So this goes deeper. You know what, Merlin? He did say that, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So this goes deeper than what I was thinking. So they are succeeding in getting rid of us.
They are. They're sticking crap in front of us, and we're going for it. We fight over everything. That's why I say, look at some of these. I'm going to encourage the audience. You don't have to even say anything. Look through the feeds. Look at everything. Look at the fight videos. Look at these fight videos. Look at these smash and grabs. Look at all of these women making excuses for being 350 pounds. Look at everybody making excuses for having high body counts. Look at all of these rappers dying. I mean, you know, when growing up for us, well, for me, the only dead rappers were Tupac and Biggie, right? And Eazy-E, maybe. Look at it now. You got people who want to grow up to become rappers just so they can go to jail and or die for the bag. When did that become normal? When did that? And it's become so normalized among many other things in in the community. But there is a deficit, seriously.
I can tell you when it became normal. When we started to ostracize the ones that didn't think it was normal. When the black community start to kick out and hate and disdain and push away and sever ties with the logically thinking African American and ostracize him from friendship and called him white or called him lazy or call him something stupid because he didn't go along with what they were doing, we slowly start to weed out the good and push them out of the community, the so-called community, and now they're somewhere else. Then we expect the ones that are the dregs. I'm sorry, I'm going to call them that. When the dregs are left over, you expect the dregs to make tea. No, that's going to get tossed out. And then you have the rest of the culture trying to ask people what you bring into the table. You don't have anything to bring. First of all, you got to have the ability to bring something, then you got to have a table to meet at. The black family don't have a table. We don't have a meeting spot. And so I can't afford for that to have this question posed. Well, if you want an narration, what are you bringing to the table? And then you mention, I got my own business, and I got this, and I got. But that's not bringing anything to the table. A man should be bringing the ability to be a husband, and a woman should be bringing the ability to be a wife. That's what you should be bringing to the table. But what you're trying to tell me you bring it to the table is so superficial, and it'll burn out after about a year, especially if well, the economy goes tank. Now all of a sudden you don't got nothing. What you did bring to the table is no longer with you. What good are you at this point then? You got nothing to offer me. Like all of a sudden, the one thing you said you had, you're going to get old, so the thing that you brought bodily, that's going to dry up. And then what money you did bring, you ain't gonna have to be able to work no more. So what are you offering me except for the rest of my years from the age of 65 till I die, nothing but heartache and pain and arguing contentiousness? That's all you got for me. And as a man, the only thing he's bringing is the fact that I used to be a gangbang. I used to do this. I'm hard, and yeah, I know how to lay the pipe and all that stuff. Yeah, I'm bad. And then by the time you hit 60, your body don't work no more. So what are you bringing to the table? You don't know how to be a husband.
And you ain't got no more fight in you. So now you ain't tough no more. Now what?
Now you're tough no more. Yeah, you're done. You're worthless at this point because you never invested yourself in becoming a husband. You wanted to be that man. And in being a man, what you really turned up being was a boy. So it leads me to the question I had for you. If you had any advice, because of your viewpoint, not to give women, because I'm guaranteeing that they're not going to listen to you.
Uh-oh.
If you had any advice, yeah, I'm telling you, you're going to have some pissed off females at you in this one. You're going to have the rare few that be like, yeah, she know what she's talking about because I'm like that with my husband. You're going to have those. The others, all right. So we know where they're going to go. So my question is this. What advice would you offer young men about the pool of women today and how they should approach it?
What advice would I have to younger men about the pool?
Yeah, the ones that haven't been burned up, chewed out, spit out yet.
About the pool of dating choices, or
Yeah, what to look for. Yeah.
one of the things, and it's so interesting you asked this question because I have over 36 nieces and nephews. And I also have a son who is 13. He's turning 13 this year. And one of the things I gave this advice from auntie to nephew, because I have a few that are in college now. And I said, meet the parents. And this here is why. When you meet a person's family, it will give you insight into their pathology and how they think and how they have been socialized. Because a lot of us have been socialized. We may be Black, but we haven't been socialized the same. And I think that goes back to the earlier point that Corey was talking about with his upbringing, and then was speaking about mine. We all have been socialized differently. So the advice that I would give to a lot of the young men who are hitting the dating pool, and they're getting to know someone, meet her family if you can, before you take anything super serious, before you're ready to jump out the window. Meet the family. I even give this advice to women too. When you meet the family members of your potential suitors, it gives you insight into their pathology, because you're going to see who they were raised by and how they were socialized in that group. I always tell people, especially people who talk about the culture, the culture is not TV. The culture is not P. Diddy. The culture is not reality television. It is not social media. It is not Instagram. It is not drill music. It is not Big Dirk, Little Fizz, this one, that one. The culture is the family you were raised in. That is your culture. That is technically your culture, if you really believe it or not. That's the culture. It's how you've been socialized. I know in other countries, that's how it is. That's why in other countries, when it comes to marriage, if you notice, or you can look this up, feel free, anyone, the families have to meet before anyone says I do. And there is a reason why. Because those families are going to then be conjoined together once that man takes that woman to be his wife. And they have to know exactly what they're getting into. We don't do that here in this country. We don't do none of that. We don't meet nobody. Not anymore. And you're right, not anymore, because once upon a time that was very, very important. Even there was a reason why other countries even practice dowry. There a lot of these things were very, very, very important, because you know, marriage itself, um it was all about the conjoining of two families together to preserve the wealth of the family name and to keep the bloodline going, while at the same time maintaining your religious and spiritual duties. We don't do any of that anymore because of how we've been socialized, or rather social engineering. But if you want my advice, meet their family. Meet their family. There was a guy many years ago, never forget it. Many years ago, he was a friend of mine, and he said to me, I would never marry a woman who was raised without a father. And I had to be like 23, 24 years old at the time. I'm not going to give away my age, but I was like, really? And I said, that's so interesting to hear you say that. And he says, there's a reason why I would never do it. He said, because it's going to tell me the kind of woman she's going to be. If she's been socialized up under her mother's diction and all of that, that's who I'm going to get. I'm not going to get a woman who was raised up under the guardianship of a man or the covering of a man. She would not know what that is, because her mother, it was never taught to her. And I just thought it was so interesting that he said it. And it wasn't until I got older myself I started realizing what that meant. So you have to meet family. You have to meet family, even meet friends, siblings. You have to meet some people.
Yeah, I was taught a long time ago too. When you meet a female, if you want to know how she'll treat you if you get married, pay attention to how she treat her daddy. Yeah, watch how she treat her daddy. Watch check the respect level that she had for her dad, because that's what you're gonna get 9 times out of 10. And so, yeah, and so I was like the guy that told you the same thing. I made my mind up that I'm not marrying a woman from a single parent family. And a lot of people would say that's wrong. And people have asked me that because I've been really nice to be very verbal about that. And my response was, listen, I can't help that she didn't meet the standards. Just the same way as I don't meet the standards for certain women. I would approach certain women and they'd be like, no, I don't like the way you look. I don't like the way you act. I don't like, you, and she have a right to make that decision. Just like I have a right to make the decision of if I don't want a wife from a single parent home, because I know I come from a single parent home and I can visually see the effects of what it does. And I don't want that for my life. And I don't want that for my kids. So I want to, once I got my mind right, I decided, okay, look, it's time to get married and do things the right way. If you love your kids, that's what you would do. And that's just the bottom line.
From my perspective, because I married someone that her father and her are very estranged. All right, he just didn't want anything to do. But he was a POS and still is a POS, like completely. He ran around he was a Rolling Stone kind of father. He didn't want anything to do with none of his kids unless they had something to offer him. Statistically, he don't even mess with his kids. He just ran around planting seed wherever he was, like a wayward shepherd or something. Just ridiculous. But what she, and Corey, you said, watch how she treats her dad.
Mm-hmm.
Even with all of that, she doesn't hate her father. And when I realized that she doesn't hate her dad, it tells me that she doesn't have a problem with a husband. She has been looking for someone to fill that role, and she's not looking at it as a angry person. She's looking to it longingly. And so if I'm in that role already pre-mixed and ready to go, her falling in line will almost be normal. I can fully get behind this whole concept of women who have not had a good relationship with their father, hate their father, or don't know their father, being avoided at all costs because it can be toxic. And not just toxic, but dangerous to the man, because he's purposely putting himself in a position to be disrespected, unloved, and unwanted, while all the time she's saying, I love him. And I think for the man's mental health, that's not worth it. Your viewpoint about womanhood, however, how do I say this, is unfortunately passe now. It is unfortunately passe. No one's teaching the younger generation, the younger women, that it should be that. No one cares. And when you, in your role, decide to talk about it with them, they get mad at you because you're telling them something seemingly contrary to what they want to have happen and who they really think they are. This whole concept of dating, relationship, all of it, you said it right the first time. We've gone into moral and spiritual decay. Once we've left the model, you can't expect the implementation to work. It's just not going to happen.
So we have we did a really good job at framing up the problems and the issues in the Black community as far as marriage, relationships, raising kids, following God, all those things. So what's the solution? How do we get there? You understand what I'm saying? What's the real life solution? Not just because it's easy to just simply say, hey, we got to follow God, which is 100% true. But that's easy for us to say if we follow God already, right? So what can we like really do in real time to get the Black families back to where it used to be?
We have to start changing our mindsets. And in order to do that, we need a complete culture makeover within our families that exist already before we can be going out here making families, in my opinion. I know a lot of people, and I notice it just in general. Many people, when you ask a person, what is your idea of the perfect relationship? Or when you see someone talk about relationship goals, do you ever notice no one names mom and dad? No one never names grandma, grandpa. No one never says their aunt or their uncle or their cousin Mike and cousin Sheila. They always say Jay-Z, Beyonce, Michelle and Barack. They name celebrities. These are notice. Notice, I'm so serious. They never talk about families. In order to fix what is wrong, it needs to start within our mindsets and trickle down within our families, the ones that already exist. We don't know how to love on the family that already exists around us enough, in my opinion. We're so busy looking outward when we should be looking inward. We don't do that enough. We don't. We're too busy trying to be like Stevie J and Jocelyn. This one and that one. This celebrity and that celebrity. Cardi B and Offset. And I could go on and on and on. It makes me sick and cringe sometimes that when people talk about relationships, the first people they start talking about is never their own family members. They talk about celebrities and people with money, and it's because and it's spilling over into the generations that are coming up under us, and we don't even dig it, especially with so much that is taking place right now. Can we afford to carry on like this? We can't.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with everything you said, but one thing, and you kind of said it, but I want to make it clear, and I want to put a stamp on it. And I believe that one of the biggest things that need to be done, that must be done, is we have to not learn, but we have to promote marriage within our communities. And that's one thing that we are not doing. I can say for myself, I came up and, not everybody, because I had a few, in fact, got a guy, one of my cousins, I really, really look up to him, and he was a man, you know what I'm saying? And he promoted those things, but he was one of the very few people, you know what I'm saying? It's like most people will tell you, oh no, you don't want to get married, young man, have some fun, do this. It's like, why are you telling me to go out and live this life? And so that's exactly what I was doing. I'm out there in the clubs, making money, making it rain, and all this so stupid, ignorant stuff. And it's dumb and it's ignorant and it's disrespectful. It's irresponsible and it shows no love for your family. I'm doing this stuff while I got kids. I could have been flashing that money in the bank for a college degree. You know what I'm saying? But this is where we get twisted up at, because our peers are telling us these things instead of promoting marriage, and there lies a big part of the problem.
Along those lines, I want to make something abundantly clear to people out there. And this is the hard, unfortunate reality. Okay. This is the part where I sober people up and let you know something. While I hear what you say about we're on the verge of extinction, um, it I'm not looking to try and save everybody, because I don't think it's possible. Um, and I may not be able to save many with the message. And I'm not talking about spiritual saving. I'm talking about saving from destruction of the way they think. But the ones that do listen and turn, good. Your generation is going to be improved. Your family line is going to be improved. Whoever don't listen, your family line will end soon enough. And while that may sound cold, I'm not the one not listening. I am not the one ignoring the message to help you. You're the one ignoring the message to help you. We have people right now that are trying to show there is an alternative way that will help you grow, help you leave the destruction behind, help you be more joyous in your life. But if you don't want it, we are not about trying to force you or coerce you into it. You have this choice. You heard what Faye said. You heard what Corey said. You heard what I said. The only person stopping you from listening is you. And with all the info we gave, either you sober up and start analyzing, am I doing 1, 2, 3 to kill myself, or am I going to be doing 1, 2, 3 to better myself? And if you want to pick those 3 that end you, so be it. But if you pick the 3 that give you life, I guarantee that your future generations are going to thank you. So it's up to you, the people out there. I'm not about to try and save everybody, but whoever wants to join the bandwagon and get on the family train, more power to you.
Absolutely, man. Ladies and gentlemen, it's really simple. You know what I'm saying? Promote marriage and love one another. And that's all a part of following God. Because if you don't follow God, you're not going to love. So those are some basic things that we need to do, and we need to really understand that we should stop blaming others for what we're doing, even if they are wrong. Forget about them. Let them do their thing. Right? You do your thing and get yourself straightened up. And we can't keep running to the white man talking about, we need this, we need that, and if they don't give it to us, they wrong. And look, skip all that. Build families, and we will build communities, and that's just the bottom line. We really appreciate Miss Faye coming on to have this conversation. It was very, very productive. So Faye, do us a favor one last time, and let everybody know how to find you.
You can find me at Miss Faye Bishop over on Twitter. I am Faye Bishop. I'm actually the only Black Faye Bishop on social media, I believe. So I'm easy to find on Instagram and Facebook. So you can find me there, and you can follow the Faye Bishop Report over on YouTube.
All right, and then one more thing, Faye, I want to put you on the spot. You think we can get you back? Can we get you back?
Absolutely.
All right. Now don't play, because we will be on your trail. I'm telling you.
Absolutely.
We absolutely enjoyed you, and we'd be glad. We'd be very, very happy to have you back. So, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for your time, but our time is up. And do yourself a favor and wake up before you go to sleep. Peace. We out of here.